For many, Lapland is a far-off land of dreams. To a large extent, the forest, the tundra, the fjords are wild landscapes preserved from predatory imprint of man. The far north can easily nurture a few fantasies, even projects, when you have an adventurous soul. Among my old unfulfilled dreams, there was this magical spectacle of the Northern Lights. This was one of my goals on a first winter trip. Luck and perseverance had given me an unpretentious aurora, but I had known how to be content with it. It was in the north of Sweden, in Kiruna, the very place where I had been told at length about these unknown people that are the Sami. In Lapland, we logically expect to meet Lapps. But who are the Lapps? Norwegians, Swedes, Finns, Russians. They come from many cultural mixes. After a few centuries of mixed marriages, the bloodlines have mingled over the waves of colonization. But who are the indigenous people who have lived here for thousands of years and survived centuries of occupation? What remains of their culture? My keen interest in colonized peoples prompted me to push my curiosity further. This first winter trip was just a getaway in a pandemic context, where traveling seemed impossible. I was already planning to go on an adventure trip in the summer. It was great fun to cross Europe, to rediscover Lapland on an electric scooter. But beyond this very fun adventure, this trip was also an opportunity for me to go further in my desire to meet the Sami. In northern Finland, I therefore began to seek their company, and that was the start of another story that is tinged with a powerful feeling called friendship.
Helve matkustaa, meneekö helve Ruotsissa? Ruotsista menee Tanskaan ja Herve poika. Nyt alkaa Herve tulla takalla. Herve poika.
With Pentti, I experienced great moments of complicity. I liked to hear him sing, improvise mischievous yoiks. I liked to laugh and fish with him. When I met Pentti Keskitalo, he and his son Ari immediately brought to my attention a burning question that had seemed complex to me and left me puzzled. I was quite distraught by their remarks, but by intuition, I decided to interview them without really knowing to what extent I could exploit their testimonies. I had no idea that this question would become the main subject of my next film. I had spent a dream week with the Keskitalo family. They had made me feel at home, 4,000 kilometers from my home. When we parted, continuing my journey towards the North Cape, we had the firm intention of seeing each other again. When you travel and have unexpected and wonderful encounters, the enthusiasm for reunifications can be great, but often the reality takes us away definitely. This was not our case. 4 months after my return to France, I was ready to leave to spend the winter with my friends and the friends of my friends. The idea was to make a long stay in winter, experience the polar night, live the life of the reindeer herders, and make a film that tells the story of the Sami. From what angle? I didn't know. When I go to make a film, I always ignore it, and I have learned to like it. Back in northern Finland, the scenery has obviously and radically changed. We drive less, we slide more. The seasons follow each other and are really not alike. The lives of reindeer and those who raise them follow a cycle governed largely by the laws of nature, but also by the modern means available to herders in the 21st century.
Now we are a little over middle winter, so it's herding time now. And we are now here near of Norway border with reindeer. After separating, we go north with reindeers, and we do about 80 to 100 kilometer circle with reindeers per winter. And now we are here, and we give a little extra food because now it's not good to get food for reindeers. Here is a lot of ice on the tundra, these highest hills.
When the snow is too hard or too deep, the reindeer can graze on the lichen that lines the tundra. Feeding the herd is necessary, but this time it will be necessary in addition to move it, to make it migrate 40 kilometers further south, where the Keskitalo family has spotted plains where the snow cover is more suitable for grazing. This migration mobilizes the 3 generations of the family. Pentti, his sons and his grandsons will therefore work to group the animals together to take them to a place where they can more easily feed. But moving a large herd is no small feat. You have to channel all the animals, go find a stray. It is also necessary to catch and carry the tired, to take care of the most fragile. Who hasn't dreamed of playing cowboys, for real?
This period is long, this herding season. It's almost 7 months every year. It starts from November and ends half of May, end of May, when this female reindeer gets new calves. Of course, all the year we look after reindeer because here is many predators. Wintertime, baddest is wolverine and also lynx and land eagle and sea eagle. They kill all over the year, but they kill summertime mainly. The land eagle couple kills every day new calf summertime, but bear don't kill so much, less, but it's good that it sleeps wintertime. Nowadays it's more wolves than before because their government protect wolf.
Pretty spectacles of nature, we have a good chance of seeing them near the poles. During a ride on a strange vehicle called Spark, I had the immense good fortune to see an extremely rare and surprising phenomenon. A bridge spans the river that feeds the lake. The water velocity prevents the mouthpiece from freezing. A thin layer of ice forms here. The acceleration of the water drives it in a rotational movement. As the ice rotates, its sides are eroded into a perfectly circular shape over time. Their size may vary. This ice circle must have a diameter of 7 or 8 meters. Beyond the Arctic Circle, the lakes are frozen for about 7 months. Fishermen, hunters, gatherers for millennia, most Sami have preserved this way of life. whether they are reindeer herders or not. Winter fishing techniques are inevitably different. The one that seemed the most ingenious to me consists of introducing a net under the ice, using a wooden board fitted with a float and a nail that hooks the ice from below. By pulling on the string, the board advances under the ice in the desired direction. A few meters further on, the length of the net, the movement of the board is audible, and groping, the fisherman drills a second hole where he hopes to find his board. The two holes are now connected by the string, which will guide the net to which it is attached, and that's it. A few hours later, pike abound. Sometimes. The hunting season is autumn. Moose are the main game in Lapland, but you can also hunt lynx, wolverine, bear, hare, fox. All kinds of birds are also the target of hunters. Grouse, ptarmigan. Pentti shows me how to trap running birds.
Olen perinteistä ansalan riekonpyyntiä. Tätä on täällä pyydetty ikäänsä. Tässä on varmasti monen talon elättänyt tämä riekonpyynti. Niin poronhoito kuin marjastus ja mettästys. Tämä on riekon ansapyyntiä. Tätä sapii sinne helmikuuhun saakka pyytää täällä Suomessa. Täällä Lapin läänissä, näissä 3 kunnassa.
Milloin tulet hakemaan ansoja?
No, se riippuu jos on selviä ilmoja, niin ja sitten että jos pelkäätte ketu vievät niitä, niin pitää melkein joka päivä käydä. Riekko, tuo kettu ja sitten ahma, onko se oppii. Ahma oppii kokemaan riekon ansoja, niin se kulkee siitä aina ja viepii, jos vain ei kerkiä itse saa sitä.
You can also find traps in the Inari Museum, but let's also discover the traps of history. The Sida is a museum that depicts the life of the Sami as it was during the 19th century. In the Northern Sami language, Sida is the name given to the very old system of village organization of the Sami people. Within each Sida, the sharing of land, the management of resources, the oral transmission of knowledge and traditions were decided. These houses date from a time when the Sami were subject of the Tsar of Russia. But let's go further back in history. Archaeological research shows that the Sami migrated from southern Europe around 10,000 years ago. A second migratory wave came from Siberia 4,000 years ago. In the Middle Ages, the Sami were colonized and taxed. First by the Vikings in the 9th century, then by the Swedes from the 16th century. When mining started, Sami people were enslaved. Those who could fled further north. But in 1673, the King of Sweden decided to push colonization even further beyond the polar circle, with a strong desire to assimilate and acculturate the indigenous populations. Reindeer herders were less affected by this new wave of colonization, thanks on one hand to their nomadic way of life, and on the other hand, because the settlers were much fewer in number, agriculture being impossible there in an Arctic climate. But there is also another economic and political reason which will have important consequences on the unity of the Sami, especially in Finland.
Behind that was the idea that only the mountain Sami are those Sami who are living in the mountain area and who has lots of reindeer, that they are good for the Swedish state.
The king needed more meat and reindeer skin for the army because they were out making war every day.
To understand the privileges granted to reindeer herders, we must therefore go far back in history. The Kingdom of Sweden was for centuries a warlike state. To perform in the art of war, the army had to be effectively equipped. Not only with mighty weapons of war, it was also necessary to feed and clothe the soldiers, more particularly in an Arctic environment where extreme cold can paralyze the armies. In the middle of the 16th century, King Johan III of Sweden had the idea of exploiting reindeer for their meat and their skins. The king planned to industrialize breeding, to create huge herds. His nephew Karl IX continued his work. The Sami were thus called upon to organize the royal breeding. Until then, in the Sami culture, herding was limited to a few reindeer within each family. They were mainly used for moving, carrying. Reindeer herding was not a profession, but it became one for the purpose of conquest. When Karl IX died in 1611, his successor did not pay any attention to reindeer herding. The royal herds having disappeared, the Sami herders had the idea of creating their own herds. The trade proved very profitable, and the herders became the most prosperous caste in the Sami society, divided between wealthy herding families and poor families continuing to live traditionally by hunting, fishing and gathering. This new wealth of part of the colonized people prompted the Swedish crown to radically change its tax system.
And the tax land, they looks like this. Small round areas, maybe 15, 20 kilometer every side, maybe a little less, maybe more. And when the system to changing, then
when mostly had gone to the...
To make life easier for reindeer herders and promote prosperity from which they will draw more tax resources,
look like this.
the Swedish authorities
they
have transformed the tax land system.
Maybe 150 kilometers long and only maybe 10 kilometers like this, other way. It was more made for the nomadic Sami people, so they can go summer up the mountain and reindeer won't go up the mountain, and the winter go to back in the forest.
And that is how it looks even today.
And what happened to the Forest Saami who was in these little areas?
They have some choices. One choice was stop it Sami life and build a little house, and after that they lost the name Sami and they called after that Swedish or Finnish.
And especially in the Finnish side, which today belongs to the Finnish state, the situation was very, very bad. It was the people were starving because of the settlers came and they started to practice hunting and fishing. And those Forest Saami, they didn't have a possibility to get their living from that, and they were very bad situation. It was very close and a similar situation what the indigenous people were in the Canada or United States or Australia or everywhere. It was the very parallel situation with the Forest Saami.
Quand ils ont accepté de prendre un lopin de terrain, ils ne payaient pas la taxe pendant 15 ans. Quand ils ont accepté d'avoir ce lopin de terrain, et alors donc, ils s'étaient considérés comme des Finlandais. Ils n'étaient plus des Sami. On était rayés, on n'était plus des Sami. Fini.
Elikkä tässä nähdään Kuolajärven maakirja vuodelta 1762. Ja tässähän näkyy, että kuinka vähän näitä uudisasukkaita täällä on. S tarkoittaa saamelaista, means Sami people. Voit kertoa, että muutamaa vuotta myöhemmin se rekisteri muutettiin ja ne saamelaiset perheet kirjattiin uudisasukkaiden joukkoon. Sehän se on.
Les Sami de forêt, évidemment, il y a certains qui étaient dans une situation tellement précaire, ils ont accepté ce lopin de terrain. Mais à cette époque-là, ils n'ont pas compris qu'ils perdaient leur identité.
The loss of identity is the hidden agenda of any colonial policy based on assimilation and acculturation. Segregation and discrimination are its concrete manifestations, but a psychosocial mechanism reinforces them. It is a feeling of a gregarious nature, shame. Of course, physical violence is a deterrent, but demonization and humiliation are sometimes more powerful than some brutal punishments.
No vanhoina aikoina käytettiin ihan fyysisiä rangaistuksia, piiskauksia ja jalkapuuta kirkossa häpeärangaistuksena.
People were also punished, physically punished, whipped, and put their captured legs put in a wooden clap.
Mutta tässä uudemmassa on vain tämmöistä niin kuin henkistä painostusta. Esimerkiksi minun nuorin sisareni, äitini ei saanut antaa nuorimmalle sisarelleni nimeä, jonka hän halusi, koska se tulkittiin saamelaiseksi ja se pappi vaihtoi nimen.
Gradually, pride replaces shame. After a few centuries of persecution and humiliation, the end of the 20th century was for most indigenous peoples a period of reconquest of identity, of emancipation. The United Nations has played a role in the recognition and respect of the native peoples. And the pressure from NGOs, international law pleads more in their favor, and we are witnessing significant progress. In Northern Europe, this progress has been reflected in the establishment of Sami parliaments in Norway, Sweden and Finland. As such, each assembly is entitled to examine all questions concerning the language and the culture of the Sami and their status as an indigenous people. How not to rejoice the relative accession of these minorities to more political power? However,
the Sami law was adjusted so now anybody who has grandparents who spoke Sami can register in Norway, which has made an increase in the number of people who can vote. We have passed 20,000 in Norway. It started with like 4,000 or 5,000 many years ago. In Finland, they made this geographical definition that excluded a lot of Samis from participating.
It's very different in Finland and Sweden. In Finland, it's catastrophe because the Forest Saami they are not accepted. They don't exist.
Pour eux, on est un peuple imaginaire. Même pas un peuple, on est des gens imaginaires.
Comment ça?
Que les Samis de forêt n'existent pas.
And in Sweden, it's the reindeer law which separate the forest and the nomad Sami people.
You cannot become a member of a Sami village or sida if you don't have reindeers. But you're not allowed to have reindeers if you are not a member of a sida or a Sami village. The Forest Saami became non-status Sami.
And you are a non-status Sami?
Yes, I'm non-status. And even I have the very old ground in the Sami village.
Identity is a personal thing. It's also how ILO, the International Labour Organization, defined identity. It's a personal thing. Nobody can tell you who you are. You define who you are. But in some circles, it's the bloodlines that counts. But that's a very old-fashioned way of thinking.
But the thing is that, who's enough Sami to be Sami? And in Finland, that is not something that you decide yourself. This is something that you give to Anne Nuorgam and to this election committee to decide. And based on their kind of evaluation and how they see you, it's never enough. You're not enough. I'm not going to be a Sami in the Finnish system as long as I'm having this person sitting there. But then again, I have my twin sister. She's a Sami in Norway. So I moved to the other side of the border and a Sami. So it kind of tells a bit about how crazy this whole system is in Finland.
No, it's internal discrimination is obvious. It's very obvious to everybody.
Tietenkin nykyään sitten tämä nykyinen saamelaiskiista, kuka on saamelainen, niin se on sitten toinen ongelma, että taas se hidastaa tämän kulttuurin elpymistä ja sen vaalimista.
I have also very much knowing about how Sami people try to fight for democratic development, but it works never. One woman named Elsa Laula was one of them.
She said, 1917, she said, the Sami people is one. It doesn't matter if you have reindeers or if you are hunting and fishing or if you just work with handcrafts. It doesn't matter. We are Sami people, everyone.
Tämä merkki, lippu tai se on niin kuin minun perimän merkki. Ja se on yhtä kuin poronvasalle panhan korvan merkki. Kun minä synnyin, niin minulle se on minun symboli. Tämä se on niin kuin perimä, minun perimä ja sitä ei voi kukaan ryöstää. Että kaiken muu voi ihmiseltä ryöstää, mutta ei verenperimää. Ja siihen luotan, että totuus vielä selviää, että ei voi valheellisesti meitä hylätä sillä lailla, että
Wow.
What do you think?
Thank you.
It's
Tell me, what is this anthem for you? What does it mean for you to compose and sing this?
it's like a window in my heart. You can see the old people fighting for rights. You can feel their spirit, what they wish was their life. And they also crying for the things they have missed under many, many years.
Joo, no sehän on semmoinen asia, että sinne on saamelaiskäräjiin on pesiytynyt semmoinen kansa, jota ei ole olemassakaan. Ja se, että ne on muualta tulleita, ne on siellä hallittamassa. Ne haluaa mahdollisimman pienenä pitää sitä kansaa siellä, että se on paljon helpompi hallita. Ja sillä näitä tämmöisiä alkuperäiskansan olevia ihmisiä sinne ei hyväksytä, koska nehän pääsee sanelemaan sitten se, että mitä siellä tehdään ja mitä ei. Jos ei valtiovalta puutu siihen, niin tätä kohta on asset käsissä.
Mutta sinä näet, että tämä on asia, joka pitää ratkaista.
On ilman muuta, ja se, että sehän pitäisi mennä sinne neuvottelupöytään ja siellä ratkaista ne asiat. Ei se riitelemällä eikä sotimalla näitä asioita ole koskaan ratkaistu.
The Finnish government, they don't do nothing, but some people now, Mikko Kärnä is one people who is open in Finnish government and asking what is happening, where is the rights for Forest Saami.
Herra puhemies, saamelaisalueen ainoana kansanedustajana tässä salissa haluan nostaa esiin erään ihmisoikeusongelman, joka meillä tuolla on ja jota tämä selonteko ei valitettavasti tunnista. Kyseessä on metsäsaamelaisten ja statuksettomien saamelaisten oikeusasema, jolle ei valitettavasti ole vielä tehty mitään, vaikka hallitusohjelmassa olemme nimenomaan sitoutuneet siihen, että turvaamme kaikkien saamelaisten ja saamelaisryhmien oikeudet. Nämä väestöryhmät ovat vähemmistön enemmistön syrjiviä ja haluaisin kyllä, että kaikki eduskuntaryhmät pohtisivat sitä, että voimmeko me hyväksyä sitä, että vähemmistö syrjii omia vähemmistöjä. Mielestäni emme missään tapauksessa voi.
I always say that this is something that like a minority is discriminating its own minority, and I think it's outrageous.
Internal discrimination is unfortunately not an isolated fact in the history of humanity. A few years ago, during a filming in Palestine, where the descendants of persecuted Jews persecute the non-Jewish natives of Palestine, Mazin Kumseye had drawn my attention to another relatively unknown historical fact, which shows once again that the dominated can become dominant, the persecuted become persecutors.
And when people are discriminated against, they can think of different ways to react. When blacks were discriminated against in America, for example, many of them resisted discrimination, people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc. But there was a small minority of blacks in America who said, you can't live with white people, let's go create our own state. And they created a movement called Back to Africa. And they picked randomly a spot in Africa, and they called it Liberia. And they created a new state in Liberia. But the problem for these American black colonizers, and that's a proper terminology for them, colonizers, is that there was the area was not a land without a people for a people without a land. There were native people there. And so to this day there's a problem between the native people of that country and the American black colonizers who are running Liberia.
What is the responsibility of the Finnish government in the situation? And are Finnish government and Sami parliament allied in that discrimination?
The problem is that we have some parties in Finland that only listen to the members of the Sami parliament. And also that we have 200 members in the parliament, there are only 7 of us from Lapland. So many people, they don't have time and they don't understand the situation, they don't know the history, and they don't know what is happening. I was really happy when we were writing our government program, where we inscribed that now we will make a new Sami legislation where we will consider the rights of all the Sami groups. But for some reason, the Sami parliament with the Ministry of Justice, they managed to turn this around, and the proposal that the committee did, it's terrible, and I don't think it will never be accepted here. So this conflict will only continue.
Terve, nimeni on Erve Magnin. Olen ranskalainen puhutko sinä englantia, kiitos? Okay. I come from France to make a film about the Sami people, and it will focus on how the Sami organize themselves to defend their political rights as indigenous people. And I would like to meet the president of the parliament. Is it possible to have a short interview with him? The Sami Parliament of Finland is made up of 21 elected members. I have contacted them all and followed them up many times. I was easily able to meet 2 opposition parliamentarians. As for the members of the majority who deny the existence of the Forest Saami, only Anna Nuorgam agreed to meet me.
And here in Finland there is a movement where Finns want to apply membership to the Sami parliament, to the voting registry, and they want to identify themselves to be Sami. And when we look at from the Sami perspective, we see them as Finns and not part of our Sami people, wanting to have the same rights which belong to the indigenous peoples. And here we mean those land rights, because Finland has stated that it wants to ratify the ILO 169, which grants land rights to the indigenous peoples.
And why do you think that those people pretend they are Sami if they are not?
For example, when you go to you have a tourism business, and then it's much easier to sell to tourists if you claim that you are indigenous, where Sami dresses, Sami authentic, our authentic, colorful clothes and so on. Reindeer, it's much easier to sell your tourism business. So in some cases they use this as just a tool to earn money, and they want to identify themselves to be Sami. And when we look at from the Sami perspective, we see them as Finns.
Yeah, I think, what can you say? I think this is, I think the whole discussion again is more telling about the one that is telling this. When it comes to land rights, when it comes to recognition, when it comes to this, it's almost like I've been hearing this so many times, so it's almost like I get really tired of this. So the only thing that, let's say that Anne Nuorgam is focusing, first of all, she's using Finns as if we were having no whatsoever indigenous status or heritage or so on, which is completely insane. It's like, that is like, I don't know what to say. It's yeah. And then on top of that, what she's trying to project and trying to say and communicate is that Finns are coming and taking away the land rights of the Sami people, and this is what she's basically saying. It doesn't make any sense. That all of the people that more or less are kind of applying as a non-status Sami, I haven't got it. If you can show your connection to the land for the last 500 years.
In 2011, Paavuri Tammela published a book which documents the genealogy of several lineages of Sami. Pentti's family is included in this search. This attests to the very ancient Sami origins of the Keskitalo family.
Tässä on minun isä. Tuossa on minun isä. Joo.
Father.
Joo. Joo.
Sinun isä.
Minun isä.
Ton père.
Ja tässä on Kalle Vuontisjärvi ja tässä on minun Jaakko Keskitalo.
Jaakko Keskitalo, c'est ton père.
Joo.
Ok. Et là, c'est toi.
Tämä on minun.
Avec Kemi. The few status application files that I have seen are often thick and documented using official registers. Traces often date back several centuries, so I asked Anne Nuorgam if she had been able to consult these files.
I think that those who apply now to the Sami registry and who are clearly Finns, I don't think that they have any business in the voting registry, because we see them as Finns, pure Finns.
So in their application there is nothing about the generations of Sami people during the centuries?
I haven't seen any of the applications, but the Sami Parliament's voting committee is the first one to make decisions if they include them to the voting register or not. And I trust in our voting committee.
The Sami population of Finland is made up of 4 ethnic groups. 3 of these groups are represented in the Sami parliament. The northern Sami, often reindeer herders, they are in majority in parliament. Within this majority, the Skalds are their allies. As for the Inari Sami, they have 2 elected parliamentarians who constitute the meager political opposition, although they received more votes than their majority colleagues. This majority denies the existence of the 4th group, the Forest Saami. As a result, they are neither voters nor eligible.
No, heidän tilanne on jo pitkään ollut hyvin hankala. Me ollaan Inarin saamelaisia, kun saamelaisia on nämä 3 tunnistettua ryhmää ja sitten metsäsaamelaisia on 4. saamelaisryhmä, jota ei ole tunnistettu, ovat statuksettomia. Ja on hyvin surullista ja hyvin vakavaa, että meillä on paljon niitä ihmisiä, jotka joutuvat vuodesta toiseen tätä omaa asiansa todistelemaan eri oikeusasteissa.
No Utsjoelta voisi sanoa, joka on saamelaisenemmistöinen kunta, jossa asuu 43 vuotta. Niin siellä Tenorannalla asuva ystäväni Veikko Kuttor on sen kiteyttänyt hyvin, miten se Utsjoella on näkynyt. Siis nämä pororuhtinaat entisinä aikoina olivat niitä rikkaita.
Yeah, the riches traditionally used to be the reindeer herders. They were the nobles of the mountain.
Ja kaikki muut kerjäsivät heiltä. Kalastajat ei ollut mitään. Lohenkalastajat vielä jotain, mutta jotka kalasti siellä Utsjokin varressa siikaa, niin ne ei ollut mitään. Että kyllä se sieltä niin kuin se ylemmyyden tunte kaikkinensakin on lähtenyt. Ja nyt kun siellä on säilynyt kieli hyvin ja se tukee tätä saamelaista identiteettiä totta kai, niin kyllä se niin kuin kumpuaa sieltä. En mä sano nyt, että poromiehet olisivat ylemmyyden tunteisia tänä päivänä. Mutta se lähtökohta on utsjokelaisen minun ikäisen miehen sanomana. Se on juuri tämä, koska hän on itse sen kokenut siellä Tenovarissa, miten ne jotkut suvut tullessaan siihen heille, kuinka ne oli niin kuin, oikeastaan heitä piti palvella ja kaikkia muuta tämmöistä. Se lähtökohta on sieltä, että ne rikkaat sanelevat ja köyhät vaikenevat.
Onko alveksuntaa?
Kyllä. Se on ihan jopa käsin kosketeltavaa. Semmoinen. Ja sitten yhdessä välissä oli tosi huolestuttavaa, että lasten keskuudessa puhuttiin tästä verenpunninnasta. Että kuinka paljon sinulla on saamelaisverta ja lapset päiväkodissa puhuu tästä, mutta se on nyt vähän väljennyt.
Ulkopuolelta tuolta selän puolta takkaa litistyy se väli.
Most of my stay was in northern Finland. I felt a climate of fear there. Many people who had agreed to talk to me refused to face the camera during our interviews.
I understand many people can be afraid to speak out loud because of these incidents. It might be difficult to get a job. You might get violence. You might get silence and so on. There are many ways, and it's a terrible thing because we should discuss about this out loud.
Personally, have you received threats from your opponents when you were mayor of Enontekiö?
Yes, I have received threats from people that disagree with me. I was actually smitten once and was in justice for this. The guy got a couple of got fined for this, and it's a hot topic, like you can see. And what they did to Tuomas Keskitalo is totally terrible and condemnable. They tried to silence the people that are speaking out loud about this.
Among the people who suffered this violence, Mikko Karna quoted Tuomas Keskitalo. He is one of Pentt's sons and was one of the leaders of the non-status Sami resistance movement when he survived an assassination attempt.
Do you think he wanted to hurt you on the arm, or he wanted to kill you?
I think kill you because he tried to put there knife, but I can put my hand and this hit my hand.
And what happened then?
Then I go to the hospital and this man, police take this man and.
The man was judged and fined. He got no jail time, just a reprieve.
It's very difficult to say truth. truth. Because if you say something on the media or somewhere, your name go to the blacklist. If you want to use something land, this area, you have to ask Sami parliament. And Sami parliament see you name, oh, this is Tuomas Keskitalo, it's not Sami and he's blacklisted. He's bad people. We can't give he nothing. And Sami parliament can make very difficult your life.
And like I said, there are only 7 of us from Lapland. And all the Lappish members in the parliament have said that no, this new proposal for the law, we cannot accept this. And we must find a solution where the rights of all the Sami groups are accepted. And they just don't listen us here in Helsinki.
Do you think they are really ignorant, or they know but don't care?
I think bit of a both. And you can say that Sami parliament, it gets government funding. It has active persons. They can lobby. They have money for lobbying. Government is paying them to lobby. And when the Forest Saami, non-status Sami are trying to lobby, they have to use their own money to do this. They don't have like the same sources. They don't have the same channels and so on. So I think this is also a big problem.
The issue in Finland is about controlling the votes. If they open up, there will be too many votes, probably able to change the power position in the Sami parliament. They know that. That's why they don't want to open up for the Samis from south of a certain line. And I think that line was defined in 1962 or 3. They sent a bunch of students to identify ethnicity in the north. They started in the north of Finland and they worked their way down. And when the autumn came, they were in Vuotsu or somewhere. And that's where the line stops nowadays.
It was voluntary, you think?
Yeah, I think it was.
They were just tired to do it.
It was a scientific study of ethnicity in the northern regions, I think, and they have been using this line where they stopped after summer holiday.
Students walked around Lapland and went to houses and asked that, "Are you Sami and what you are?" And then those people who said that, "Okay, we speak Sami, we are Sami," they formed like the first electoral registry in Finland. But these people, they didn't go to Salla or Savukoski municipalities even. They were mainly looking for people that had the background of the northern Sami people and the Skolt Sami. So many of the Inari Sami and of all the Forest Sami were not identified in this study. And when the Sami parliament was formed, then they had the power to choose who will play with us. And this is the power that they have been using to these years. And that is why people have to apply their rights through our justice system to get acceptance that who I am and what is my ethnical background. And it's terrible. I think it's mental violence, even.
This study was made by students, and yes. It was supervised, I guess, by a teacher. Do you think it was just a lack of methodology, a mistake, or there was a will, an intention, a political intention, because it was used later for the registration of the Sami?
Yeah, I think they had good intentions. Erkki Nikul had good intentions, but I think some of the students that made it did not have good intentions. And I have understood, I don't know if Erkki Nikul, if he is still alive, but I have heard, I cannot confirm this, that he said himself that he never meant his study to be used this way.
Maybe probably all over the world, Finland seems to have a good reputation of it's a model of social democracy, and in that case it doesn't seem it is very democratic. Each year about the 8 million euros are to be shared. Some talk about corruption. What do you think about that?
I cannot confirm about corruption or anything, but about this whole Sami issue, we are talking of Finland about like a model society, civilized and democratic, and there is nothing civilized or democratic in the Sami parliament. No, not really. Not even parties, and the election system is totally crazy. People that get most votes, they have to go to opposition because they get like replaced by the minors because they only have like they don't have lists. They only have like one vote each. So that is why Kari Kyrö and Anu Avaskari, they are in opposition even though they get most votes in the Sami elections.
Joo, se on erikoinen tilanne, että me yhdessä ollaan kaksissa vaaleissa aina saa eniten ääniä ja meitä ei valita minnekään ja ihmiset sen tietää, mutta tämä on niin pitkittynyt poliittinen tilanne ja siitä on tullut jollakin lailla hyväksyttävää.
How do you explain that the Sami Parliament of Finland has so much power?
Well, it's because they have the money and they have jobs there where they can hire and they can give out handouts and so on and so on. They have their like own legal department and so they have built an organization like this. And at the bottom of this all, what it all comes down to, it's about power, prestige, and money. They don't want to share power, prestige, or money with the non-status Sami or with the Forest Saami. Situation is completely different in Norway. People can register openly. They are accepted to the electoral registry. And it's no problem in Norway. But in Finland, it's a huge problem.
But in Finland, they don't want to have the Sami people from the forest, incorporated in their parliaments. We have no problem with that in Sweden. It's very not so easy for the Swedish parliament to try to make change in Finland. They must have their own, challenges. But it's a strange situation, and I know a lot of Forest Saami people have contacted me and want me to try to help them, but it's not so easy because we want the Sami parliament to have self-determination, and it means that the Sami parliament in Finland also must have their own self-determination.
In Finland, some say there is an abuse of self-determination because Finnish Sami parliament is supposed to help all the Sami people, but they exclude the Forest Sami. So don't you think there's an abuse of self-determination?
Yes, I think I really don't understand what they are doing in Finland because the Forest Saami people, they have a long history. They can show they have been very long time, and you have that conflict. I don't understand why, but yes, it's abuse, of course. It's abuse for the Sami people which are living in the forest. It's very important that the Forest Saami people in Finland fight for these rights.
They are doing, but do you think that the Swedish Sami should support the non-statute Sami of Finland?
I think we can be a tool for a negotiation between these two groups, because I don't want to go there and say no, you shall do like this.
Sure.
We can be a part in the negotiation to try to help them to find a solution.
Declaration of Indigenous Sami people in Finland. Our identity is Sami. We are living part of Sami people. We are Sami as defined in Article 17.3 of the Finnish Constitution. The International Convention of Human Rights also apply to us. We are Forest Saami in the former Lapland region in Finland. With this declaration, we are asking Finland to recognize the Forest Saami at the same level of the other groups of Sami people. Our joint declaration is intended to express the indigenous Forest Saami want to say to entire Finnish people, to Europe and to the whole world.
We are together, and peoples here, these active peoples who are our side, we go together now and we fight together more than before. We get also stronger now, and we know our roots better than before now.
If they fight, they believe that they have rights, it's impossible to stop them in the future.
Will you help them in their struggle?
I shall be a part in a process like that. Of course, of course.
In 1 year, I traveled about 30,000 kilometers in Scandinavia. Most of my travels have taken place beyond the Arctic Circle. I met a lot of Finns, Swedes and Norwegians there. The vast majority seemed to me very ignorant of who the Sami are, as I myself had been a year before. Rovaniemi is the capital of the province of Finnish Lapland. In the streets of the city, I interviewed a few people.
Okay, so what do you know about the Sami people?
This vox pop only confirmed my impressions.
Well, I don't actually know so much about them.
Not a lot, because I
don't actually know so much about them.
Very few know who the Sami are. Some clichés sometimes on their history, their culture, and almost nothing about their political reality. May this film help to make them better known.
Mutta valoa tunnelin päässä. Nythän on nähty, että pukuperinne on lähtenyt elpymään ja ihmiset on rohkistuneet taas alkaa käyttää näitä sukujen vanhoja pukuja.
Minun esivanhemmat ja vanhemmat joutunut kärsimään siitä, niin minä haluan tuoda esille sen, että minun isä isä kuoli 22 vuotta sitten, niin hän sanoi mulle, valmisti minua tähän asiaan silloin jo, että meitä tullaan kieltämään, että me olemme olemassa, mutta hän sanoi, lohdutti minua, että hän ei tule sitä näkemään. Minä tulisin näkemään sen, että meidät hyväksytään. Ja nyt ollaan saatu niitä muitakin ihmisiä tähän mukaan tähän taisteluun, että me tulisimme esille ja meidän kulttuuri hyväksytään. Niin minä koen, että se on nyt se aika, kun minä kysyin isältä, että koska se on, niin sanot, että kyllä se sen tiedät. Ja minä olen kokenut, että se on nyt se aika. Saa se hyväksyntä. Ja me ollaan nyt saatu koottua meitä vähän väkiä, mutta koottua yhteen.
And we don't give up never. It's not possible to give up.
To fight, to show that they are Sami people. If they do that, I'm optimistic.
Optimists and pessimists do not see the world in the same way. Sometimes there are realists on each side. As for the utopians, they often turned out to be visionaries. By objectively observing the history of humanity, countless utopias of the past have become realities of today. As for the utopias of today, they still arouse the sarcasm of fatalists, but they will nonetheless be, for many of them, the realities of the future. I leave the polar region again with the firm intention of returning there and seeing a unified, equitable Sami people governed by a deep desire of justice. This coming reality is based on awareness and responsibility. Many countries have entered into a process of truth and reconciliation towards native peoples. Rightly, discriminated peoples demand justice. So stop discrimination wherever it comes from the outside of course, but also from the inside. To be or not to be Sami, that is a question of identity, an existential question. In a democracy worthy of the name, we cannot leave the monopoly of the answer to an ethno-political elite that abuses the power it has arrogated to itself. I am not Sami. It is not necessary to claim justice for them.
Not anymore.
No.